Hello everyone, another video here on the channel. I ask those who aren't subscribed yet to please subscribe, leave a like if you enjoy the content, share it, and feel free to use the comment section. Today we're going to talk a bit about this term, this expression which has been gaining popularity over the last 5 to 8 weeks, even though it's actually a somewhat older expression that comes from the United States, from red pill channels and creators. From there, let's talk about the phrase, the winter is definitely coming. Even though, yes, there's quite a bit of irony in this expression, and with men out there in a way laughing about it, I don't condemn it at all. After all, I've already told you here that if I had to pick a pill and get off the fence, I consider myself a honk pill. I'm the guy who has already handed over the bets to society, already got a bit discouraged, and became a neutral observer who laughs a lot at what's going on, because there's nothing else to do. In my view, I don't see it as something reversible. After all, I've been studying this for a few years now, the female psyche and behaviors, biological instincts, mannerisms. What truly resides deep within the essence of women is something that originates from the ancient Paleolithic era and the ancestral tribal periods of our history, and so on. So it is certainly not just a simple matter of contemporary feminism, modern societal structures, ideologies, complex politics, and pervasive media. Obviously, those factors also have an influence, but the fundamental nature of women is much more intricate and multifaceted than just those external elements. And to say that a certain ideology, a certain movement, or certain writers changed this and that before everything was wonderful, that's not really the truth, okay? But obviously, since this is a channel that deals with stimuli and rewards in the environment, we identify and present here various stimuli and rewards that do in fact significantly change the rules of the game. But for those who are more detail oriented, I've already been talking to some content creators and looking into some materials more deeply, and there's a channel I highly recommend to you all. It's the channel of Coruja do Carvalho. I'll leave the link here in the pinned comment later. His channel is outstanding because he has an incredible depth of knowledge when it comes to the nature of women, just like Hakun does as well. So later I'll leave the link pinned in the comments and you can check out his content. A lot of what he says really aligns with, in quotes, this sort of giving up that I had on a more positive outlook. Yeah. So nowadays I prefer to observe things, always keep studying so I can share quality content here as well, besides the experience I've gained over the past years and also from your comments. Many times the comments you leave here help a lot with. Sometimes an idea comes up, a spark, an insight, though I don't really like that word. It gives me it kind of reminds me of internet scams on websites, but a lot of times your comments really help here, which is why I always tell you to feel free to comment. Maybe share your own story, some experience. What about that? That's something I've noticed really helps, and I got this idea based on what I always talked about with Davi from Kea Vida. That's why the comments help so much. So in understanding things, then sometimes the comment you leave can help someone even more than the video itself. That's when something starts to spark, to awaken peaks. But anyway, I don't consider these 3.5 minutes here as just filler, especially because this is a way to communicate with the audience. It's also a way to share some guidance and introductory perspectives before diving into the main topic. But I will respect those who think it was just filler up to now, because some of my videos are like that. I like to make a lot of introductory comments so that the topic, the core subject, comes in already warmed up, so to speak. It's this whole thing about winter coming. It's something very serious. Okay, despite what I said about the Ronquepio there, because it's even a paradox, right? In a way, I'm laughing at the situation, but now I'm speaking in a slightly more serious tone. Here, it's a bit more of a warning tone because here's the thing, it's about women. They still haven't understood what's happening. Okay, and when I say this, people sometimes get confused. They think we're talking here about beautiful, superficial women who have a ton of followers on Instagram, and that's not the rule for women. No. If the issue were only with those very beautiful and superficial women who only care about looks, Brazil would be pretty calm when it comes to the future of the male-female dynamic, man-woman. But that's not all. That's not it, okay? Winter is coming for unattractive, average, and beautiful women alike. Because the men they would accept are leaving the game. It's what we always say here. 0 times anything will always be 0. So someone might say, oh, this is nonsense, it's just talk, winter will never come for them because there's always some guy, there's always a simp who will show up, right? But have you ever asked yourselves if they are actually going to accept these guys out there? Do a little exercise in honesty, a red pill, as people always say here, that in Brazil, the overwhelming majority of men, this is a red pill I've seen people accept, okay? There was only one guy who commented here like, "Oh, what makes you say that men in Brazil are ugly and poor? Go out on the street, take the São Paulo subway, go to Praça da Sé, the Rio de Janeiro subway, Belo Horizonte, any capital city. See if the men in Brazil are tall, handsome, strong, rich. If you spend a weekend at Café de la Musique at Jurerê Internacional in Florianopolis, maybe you'll even see the kind of men women dream about. But how many guys are actually there? 200, 500? At most 1,000 guys there at a packed party. So that's a fictional Brazil, not the real Brazil. In reality, the men are ugly, fat, poor, extremely romantic simps and cuckolds whom women hate. So that's the reality. Men in Brazil are ugly and poor, boring, and women won't accept these guys, you know? Not even unattractive women are accepting them. These guys go into the comments of beautiful women. Let me give you an example. They go to these profiles, somewhere. I'm going to make a video just talking about right wing women because there are a lot of guys who are deluded, thinking that just because a woman says she's a Bolsonaro supporter or Catholic or evangelical, that these women are marriage material. Go ahead, it's like doing a double red pill exercise right there. First, to see just how uninteresting men are, and second, to check if these women are really as virtuous as many people think. Go to those profiles of right wing beauties and muses. I know several of them, okay? I know several of them, and in the future I might share a story or two. I've met quite a few famous people from that scene, okay? I've met a lot of people that many of you know, but my channel isn't a gossip channel, so if I do share any of these stories, I'll keep things as anonymous as possible, you know? Because for us, the information behind it is more important than the gossip itself, right? Even though everyone is curious, it's not just women who like gossip, you know. I've said it many times here, men love gossip too. But the message behind all this is really about the behavior itself. So I'm not going to be dropping names here. So I recommend you take a look at those right-wing women's profiles, those famous right-wingers. Check out the comments from the Gadão there. Wow, besides being beautiful, she's wife material and a bunch of Brazilian flag emojis. One thing I really like about the red pill scene, and I've been noticing this a lot lately, the raccoon, I think it was. Raccoon is the big leader, the great genius of the red pill. Raccoon is pretty much unanimous in that crowd. In my opinion, one of the smartest men alive in Latin America when it comes to this topic of relationship dynamics. Man, woman, and the state, okay? No one has as accurate a read on it as he does in the entire continent. Raccoon, he's only behind or maybe even on the same level as among the greatest American intellectuals on this subject, but Raccoon really helped the red-pilled men of Brazil understand that this whole thing about right-wing politics, well, to understand that boomers are also the worst generation in history. I'm going to make a video just about boomers, which I'm already preparing, and men kind of woke up too. Because of that, there was a considerable decrease in this whole thing with men thinking that it's in a certain church or a certain political party or a certain ideology where the right women are. The right ones are there. So I recommend that you take a look at the profiles of these bolsogatas, then the comments from the men who are there. And you don't even have to put yourself in a woman's shoes. It's a very easy exercise. It's very easy to see that women aren't going to accept the guys who are there, calling them beautiful and all that kind of thing. So winter's coming for everyone, not just for feminists, for the women who are humiliating men on TikTok and things like that. It's for everyone, even for these women. So there's a legion of single women on the right in Brazil, and there are policies. And on the left, everywhere, the women on the right talk a lot. It sounds like the typical speech of a single woman on Instagram saying everything happens in God's time and so on. Yeah, that's a typical speech from a woman on Sunday night when she couldn't catch anyone over the weekend, and saying that God is preparing the best, right? Women, when they're 27, 28 years old, they're already turning into those aunties on WhatsApp. On Sunday, they're already sharing those have a good week messages. God will take care of you. God took care of everything for you. And notice that here I'm not making fun of anyone who believes in God, okay? After all, I believe too. And if you don't believe, that's no problem either. But it's exactly because people use God for these reasons. Like wanting to find a boyfriend, because when a woman uses God on social media, she's not doing it as an act of good faith. Because acts of faith and acts of charity, they don't need to be posted online to get attention, to get likes. People do that out of goodwill. So charity usually comes along with humility, it comes with simplicity as well. So there's no need for anything like that. So winter is coming because there won't be anyone to take on these women that they're willing to accept. So, like I said, when I say there won't be enough men, it's like I mentioned here, the guys they would accept, those guys don't want to date. You get it? Women don't understand that women have a difficulty. Just like many guys have trouble with the nature of women who hate romance, women do. They have a huge difficulty, which is that men don't have this kind of thinking. Oh my God, I'm going to die alone. Oh my God, I need someone to take care of me. Men's neediness, as we've already talked about here, is purely sexual. So if a man can get that without having to date or get married, whether it's through flirting, Tinder, or paying for it, he doesn't need to, and he understands the nature of women, and the more interesting men are understanding the nature of women, right? So what's left out there? Goofy guys, blue-pilled guys, really boring guys, really unattractive guys, guys who don't stand out, they won't want them. So there's a very small number. So the number of guys, the CSPs, the ones who are going to save them, is actually a very low number of men. So the math doesn't add up, my friends. The math doesn't add up. And to wrap up the video, winter really is coming, okay? Winter really is coming, and things have gotten ugly. Women are going to go into desperation mode. Some, as I said, will lean into that side, saying they're conservative, they're right wing. Others will say, I used to be a feminist, I'm not anymore. Others will really just throw in the towel and pretend to be detached and happy, but they're actually stuffing themselves with antidepressants and crying into their pillows. Others will come with this talk about building a family. Anyway, men aren't falling for it anymore, okay? So I don't even worry anymore about how many simps there are in Brazil because things are already blowing up. It's getting ugly. You're seeing tons of women complaining anyway. And since the simps in Brazil are so uninteresting, so there's no turning back now, okay? So look, things are going to get ugly, alright? Get ready because by 2025 you're going to see unimaginable things in Brazil, okay? Women you never thought would grovel, for men will grovel and do much worse, alright? So that's the message. A big hug to everyone.